Rolling. Oh shit!
Oh shit!
It's just about to start.
There we go.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. We said oh shit because as soon as we was about to start, Martin's window popped open, so he's here.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about Spurs' lucky win this weekend versus Newcastle. We're gonna talk about Chelsea getting destroyed by a newly promoted Brentford. Man, what a shock. Probably the biggest shock of the weekend. We're going to talk about Arsenal. Martin using his voodoo doll on Arsenal and Arteta. And you need to go see his witch doctor because it really works. Whoever, not all witch doctors are legit, but the one Martin that used this weekend definitely is. We're going to talk about Man United being blah. Now Arsenal is giving us hope, false hope. And we're going to talk about Man City and Liverpool setting themselves up for a titanic match next weekend by both winning this weekend. And we got Champions League on Tuesday and on Wednesday and then whatever else. So first of all, thanks for listening and watching. Like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And our sponsor for the show is onthevalleyapparel.com. Go there and check out their gear. They got hoodies, t-shirts, sweatshirts, and tanks with hip-hop soccer logos on the front. And we also have our own 3 versions of the Soccer Comic Rant shirts there. Use a promo code Comic Rant, get 20% off. And this weekend I'll be in Detroit, so check my Instagram and you'll see where. And I'm gonna go counterclockwise. On my window is Lee Hudson, stand-up comic from England, Southampton fan. It's evident by the shirt. What's up, Lee? You good?
Yeah, all good. We had Walker Peters and Ward Prowse playing well for England this week, just gone, and we didn't lose this weekend, so I'm in an okay mood.
Okay mood. Okay, all right. And let's move on to somebody who did lose this weekend. Neil Chakravarty, stand-up comic, and Chelsea fan. He's not wearing the colors today at all. Is that what Chelsea shirt is that, Neil?
These might be our new colors. You never know.
Yeah.
What if some lunatic comes along and is like, "Oh, we're playing in creamish pink now"?
What would you all do? Would you stay?
What do you mean stay?
Stay a fan, stay loyal to Chelsea, or would you start looking at other parts of London?
Stay a fan for the London Trail Blazers.
Yeah,
I'll stay a fan.
And then we got Martin Harris, stand-up comic, actor. You see him in a bunch of stuff, and he's a Spurs fan, and he's happy because the right Spurs showed up this weekend. The biggest, and we want to thank our producer Aaron Brungardt for putting this together. I think one of the biggest stories of the weekend is Chelsea just blowing it and dangling third place in front of Arsenal and Spurs' face. And what happened against Brentford, Neil? I know you watched. It's your team. What's the deal?
I mean, the bottom line is there was like 10 minutes of madness. I don't think we played well overall in the game, but that was a crazy 10 minutes. When you can see 3 goals in 10 minutes right after scoring, there's something really like random that went wrong. And I think the players got a little complacent after scoring that first goal, because usually in games like this, when you're playing against a team that's good defensively and they pride themselves on not giving much to the bigger teams. And that's how the game was going for the first half. And then when you actually do score, it kind of feels like, okay, you've done the hard part now, and now it's going to be an easier game. I feel like the players actually played like that. So they took their eyes off the ball, got a little complacent, lost their shape. And it was just like all 3 of those goals essentially came from Chelsea moves. And I mean, I don't know if you can legislate for that. It seems very similar to the game loss we had versus West Brom last season, where out of nowhere we lost 5-2. So I'm hoping like it's just that sort of a one-off result. Because you don't expect a game where Rudiger, Silva, and Mendy collectively have a very poor game.
Martin, how do you feel about that result?
Well, definitely think that's the worst thing that happened to Chelsea in I would say like a week or two. So it opens the door for a bunch of different teams, including Arsenal, us, and you guys. I think because if Chelsea can slip into more of a crisis, I'm talking a football type of crisis, because they are in the administration crisis as we speak, and there's so much weird stuff going on with Abramovich that we don't know. We don't know if he's an informant for the Western powers, or he's a spy of the Eastern powers. He's involved somehow in this war. First, he is involved as one of the Putin's guys and gets forced to selling the club. Now there are all kinds of rumors that he might be involved as one of the peacemakers. So he's definitely, his mind and his mindset is into that rather than the football club. And I think it translates into some sort of nervousness around the club, because, I'm sure a lot of people are questioning their future. Tuchel, like what's next for Chelsea? Am I going to be around? A lot of players are probably asking those questions themselves. So it's a little bit unsettling. And I think more than the football reasons that decided that Chelsea lost that game to Brentford, is more the chaos from outside worlds probably creeping into players' minds and coaches' minds, and that could affect them for the remainder of that season. They're still good enough to finish top 4 because they're very good players, but there's a lot of stuff to think about. Am I be around? Am I, do I have to look for another club? What is my agent saying? What is my family telling? Why neighbors are, telling my wife that we're working for a Russian oligarch? There's a lot of stuff going on that we might not consider, but it can have an impact.
Martin lives near those guys?
Martin, you've been telling some player's wife that they are.
Yeah.
I'm talking to players' voice, Martin.
Well, you know what I'm talking about. It's that the outside world is not very pleasant right now for Chelsea as a football club. It's a tough moment for the club from all the other than football reasons. So now the question is how much it's going to translate into their performances. And that's the first example probably where it did. Let's see how they show up against Real Madrid. That's going to be a true test for Chelsea.
No, I think that's right. Like it is like on the scale of things that can be, negative situations for a club. This is probably near the one end of the spectrum. So yeah, I'm sure it's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of chaos at the club. But I think the first team has done remarkably well. Both the men's and the women's team, actually. The women's team has been unbeaten since all of this started. The men's team they played six straight.
Never heard you talk about Chelsea women's before so much. It's like
no, but I feel actually the parallels are very nice. Like the fact that we have Thomas Tuchel and Emma Hayes at the top of both the men's and the women's team has really helped in the situation, because things could have I'm just having nightmares of if this was Jose Mourinho, he would have said something really incendiary and gotten the club banned for the entire season. But Tuchel's kept a level head, and I think we were unbeaten. We won 6 games out of 6 since this entire chaos started, and this was the first really bad game we've had. And
this is your first. This is the second.
This loss? Is our first loss. We've had 6 wins, one loss on penalties to Liverpool in the League Cup final.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Which again was I think that was a good performance.
It's a good, yeah.
So this is really the first bad game we've had in about I don't know. It's been a month. It's been a month and a half since all of this began. So I think the team's done fairly well coping with all the chaos, but yeah, you don't want to lose in the manner we did, and especially in front of such a big game against Real Madrid, who are again coming back into form after the El Clasico Benzema's back. He's scoring goals. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Lee, what do you think of Chelsea's embarrassing loss to Brentford at Chelsea?
It's a strange one because if you look at the stats, like Chelsea dominated possession, they had 71% possession, but shots-wise, it was 21 shots to 17 with 8 on target for Chelsea, 6 on target for Brentford.
Mm-hmm.
So Brentford played very efficiently with the time they did have the ball. And I think that was shown in just how ruthless they were in front of goal. Like their goals were all good moves, good finishes kind of thing.
Right.
It was crazy how they did that. And yeah, just interesting to just see that Chelsea had that moment of weakness and Brentford were just clinical. Like Neil said, that there was a little sort of spell of madness really cost them. I think if that game gets replayed 10 times, Chelsea win it 9 times. But that's the beauty of football, that you get a game like this that happens. And I think most people were happy for Brentford as well.
Yeah.
Like you see Eriksen on the score sheet, and they're just a likeable club.
Oh, yeah.
For me, anyway. I don't know if everyone feels the same way, but so it was a really interesting game to watch. Obviously, Eriksen was on a high after scoring on his first touch for Denmark on his comeback. Mm-hmm. Now he gets to go to Stamford Bridge as an ex-Spurs player and score. It's just an interesting game all around.
Yeah, I want to add just a little bit to what you just said about Eriksen. This is because there's so much stuff going on. People talk about, and I feel like they don't talk about enough that the fact that the guy we've seen collapse on the field, that we were fearing that he might not even never play football again, but he might never be, have a normal life again. And then less than a year later, he's pretty much scoring it well. He scored 2 goals for Denmark. Now he scores for Brentford. I mean, what an amazing story and an inspiring story in a way. And now the question is, will someone maybe be tempted to make a run at him this summer? One of the bigger teams, because they see that the guy is actually kind of getting back to his best slowly.
His contract is
done as a player.
What's his contract with Brentford?
He's on loan, right?
No, I think it's a permanent deal.
Hey, I don't think he's on loan. I don't think anybody.
Yeah,
because he was. I think
his contract got scrapped there because he legally couldn't play in Italy with a pacemaker.
No, I think did he play or did he at least start training with a team in Denmark?
When you die, your contract gets annulled.
He was training with Ajax.
Oh, is it Ajax? All right.
Yeah, he was training with the B team.
Okay.
I don't know if he trained with anyone in Denmark too, but yeah, he was training with the B team at Ajax and then over to Brentford. But I mean, he's 30, so and he's not exactly a sort of player that relies on sort of physicality or speed or anything. So he could probably go for another few years, but it just depends how much he can operate at that level consistently. But I mean, if the last week or so is anything to go by, he's not far off his old levels.
Yeah, and here's the thing: he has a history with Tottenham, and he has a history with Conte. So I'm just throwing it out there.
No, the thing about this game for me is I did start watching it, and then I was like, why am I watching this game? It's kind of boring in the first half, and there are games with more. It's like Chelsea already has third, and you just expect them to win, even though they were having a hard time to kind of break down Brentford in the first half, because the first half was 0-0, right?
Yeah.
So then in the middle of the first half, I switched to the Villa Wolves games because there's more stakes involved in that game. Excuse me. When I was watching it, something happened that delayed the start of the Villa Wolves game. Something happened in the first half that delayed the start of the Villa Wolves game in the second half. So the game that I escaped from, Chelsea Brentford, they just put that on to kill time before they started the Villa game back. And then as soon as Rudiger scored, they cut back to the Villa game and it just started. And I was like, now I got to see what the reaction is. First, I got to see that goal again because it was an amazing ass goal that Rudiger scored. And I just want to see the aftermath of a goal to see how our team responds. And is now Chelsea going to open the floodgates? And I clicked over, and as soon as I clicked over, Brentford scored. And then I was like, and then they scored again. I'm like, I'm not going back to this Villa game. Like, I watched the right half of the Villa game, was the first half, and then I was just like, I just stuck with that Chelsea game, and the result was just, it was just shocking. You just at any minute think Chelsea's going to come back. It's Brentford, but Brentford just had their way with them just that day. And
Tuchel also kind of fucked up. Like there was a lot of funky stuff happening, even with the formation and the lineup. Like we were playing a back four with Azpilicueta and Alonso. And Alonso has struggled as a wing back in the last couple of months.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's not his fault. Like the goal, one of the goals that was conceded, it was more Kante's fault. But if you see the play, it looks more of Alonso's fault because he just can't cover his man. But he just doesn't have the pace to cover his man. So Kante should know better to do his fundamentals right. But
I just knew this was going to happen. I just knew somehow, as far as Neil is concerned.
No, but that's true. But it's not just. But it's not just him. Like my favorite player, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. He was being played as a lone DM. Now he's never been he's only been he's never.
I thought
been
he was in the
DM.
middle, but wide.
He was playing as a lone DM. He was playing essentially what Jorginho plays. Even though we usually don't play a lone man at the back, we usually play two in the double pivot. Mm-hmm. But this game we went with a 4-3-3, and Kante was playing as a box-to-box alongside Mason Mount. And Loftus-Cheek was playing there in a position that I don't even know when was the last time he probably played a couple of minutes earlier on in the season, but against a cup team. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he really struggled. He had no idea of his positioning. Like players were going by him, and he was looking good on the ball when he was driving forward. But I think the primary job of a person in that position is to protect the back line. And this is a back line that needed a lot of protection. As I said, we had Azpilicueta, we had Alonso, we had Thiago Silva, who had just played less than 48 hours ago in Brazil and had made the long flight over. So it was just the selection itself, Tuchel did not make things easier for himself.
That sounds like it makes sense, even though you still made Alonso the scapegoat. But I'm going back to the stats because Lee said something, and so Brentford had 29%, and Lee said that they made the most of their chances. So in 20, you have the ball 29% of the time in a game, and you get off 17 shots. That is crazy. And 6 are on target, and 4 of them go in. That's just like perfect use of time. And it's especially shocking after Rudiger's goal. Rudiger's goal was just so heartbreaking. For Brentford to just bounce back like that immediately is the real impressive part.
Yeah, it's a hell of a hit from Rudiger.
Yeah.
He tries this a couple of times every game, and it's finally one of them has come off. Right,
and then on Brentford's behalf, like once the guy who the world watched die scored, you don't stand a chance. You know what I mean? Like once a guy who died in front of everybody, like rises from the dead and is back in the league, and then he scores, like all the momentum is on that side, you know.
And I know, like the shots, it looks like 21 shots. Chelsea had a lot of chances. Most of them were they were not really great chances.
Oh, I know.
So I think even chances wise, it's not just that we didn't make the most of our chances. We didn't even really create a lot. I think we created 2 big chances, and Brentford created 4. Right. So even in terms of attacking play, Brentford were the superior team in that game.
Right.
But Neil, the question now is, this game might be relevant if you continue to winning after that in the league. But now the big question is the Real Madrid game. Are you concerned about Real Madrid?
I mean, you have to be concerned. It's Real Madrid. I think regardless of what happened in the Brentford game, I would have been concerned because I feel like last time both legs we kind of dominated. That was the best performance I've seen, even like in the great Chelsea teams in the mid 2000s. I haven't seen that dominant a performance across two legs in a Champions League knockout game. So I have a feeling like if you play like that, we should be able to deal with whatever Real Madrid plays. But we are not the same team as last year. We still, like right now, with the from player personnel we have available, we still don't have the settled formation and settled style of play like we had last season. So I don't know. I think we really need to dominate that midfield like we did in the last season. So it'll come down to big performances from players like Kovacic, Kante, Mason Mount, and then we need to just take our chances when they come.
All right. You sparked a question, but I'm just going to move on to the game that made Martin the happiest, and it wasn't Spurs versus Newcastle. It was today's game that gave him more hope. Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. And last week, I was like, Spurs, Man United, and Arsenal have tough opponents for where they are in the table. And it turned out to be true for two of them. And one of them it turned out to be true for was Arsenal getting trounced, surprise 3-0 by Crystal Palace. Somebody made a joke on Arsenal Fan TV. There's like, Patrick, we're going to forget about the statue. It's Patrick, you're not getting it. But what do you think, Martin, about?
Yeah. First, I want to say what you just mentioned about Patrick Vieira, because we remember Patrick Vieira as a captain of the great Arsenal side. But what some people don't remember is the fact that he doesn't have a loyalty to Arsenal as a club. He does have to the city, because he played at the city and then he was in the city. City built him as a manager. They sent him to NYFC, where he got his start as a manager. So he's more of a product of the city as a manager. And I think he has more loyalty towards the city because of that, because we spent last years of his career there. They gave him a shot. They embraced him. They invested in him. So I don't think he's got that much loyalty towards Arsenal. I think he does, though, to the city. Great, fantastic. That opens up.
In that case, you can make the same case for Arteta.
Yep.
But he's at Arsenal.
You can. You absolutely can. But that opens up a lot of possibilities for both of us, for Man U, for Tottenham. It definitely makes it more interesting, especially that now we'll have I have a lot of faith in you guys, because Arsenal play their next game against Brighton, and then after that they play Southampton, Chelsea, and Man U, 3 games in a row. So I'm definitely putting my faith into my podcast colleagues to deliver.
This is why Spurs ain't gonna get 4th.
We might not. But
because you depend on Man United, and that's the problem. You didn't say we're gonna do it. You're hoping Southampton.
Well, I'm confident that we're gonna win the game at Tottenham against Arsenal, and which will make us even at points. But I still hope that that you guys pitch in to the process.
Like today's game it made me feel better about our result this weekend, but there is no way, like I was telling you, do I have any false hopes that United is going to turn their mentality around enough to get 4th place. Like the only thing today's game did was like give United a little bit more hope to put more effort into the game against Everton, which I think is their next game, because they might say, all right, there's hope we might get top 4, so we'll play Everton harder. But like as far as the remaining games, like we're not going to carry that energy through as soon as like something tough happens. We'll probably, it's just the type of team we are right now. Like I'm supposed to be talking about Arsenal, but their results affects United's results, it affects Spurs' results. And as far as United is concerned, the board messed up. You can't have an interim coach, which I did not disagree with. I agree with their situation to have an interim coach who you give a job to for the end of the season, and 2 years in the front office. But when you start interviewing coaches during that small amount of time that you give him the job to coach, and you're not consulting him, and it's almost as if you took away the power or the leverage you gave him by saying he's going to serve as a consultant for 2 years, and then you ask this guy to motivate the guys in the locker room who are already difficult to motivate. You took away his power to motivate them or their willingness to be motivated by him. So our results are going to be based on what the board did. So good luck depending on us, Martin.
Yeah, I would say the one thing. Are we talking about United now, or are we talking about Arsenal?
Still talking about, we're talking about Arsenal. We're talking about like how we did it last week. We're talking about Arsenal, Spurs, and Man United. But which we shouldn't be. We should just be talking about Spurs and Arsenal and their fight for top 4. It shouldn't be. United should not be.
Chelsea are in it too right now. You know, you can't put it behind them.
They'll be okay.
Especially if Chelsea beats Real Madrid and they're involved in the Champions League campaign, they might be, more focused on that. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, Arsenal, of course, they overachieved this season. Nobody expected that from Arsenal, and they don't have a wide squad. They don't have a lot of subs. Young teams are inconsistent by nature, and I think so far they were pretty consistent. That's the first time they showed a little bit of an inconsistency in their performance. I still think they lack, and a lot of Arsenal fans actually that I talk to, they think the same way. I still think they lack a natural goal scorer up front, that someone who would finish those chances that young players provide, and they might address that in this summer window. But young teams also tend to go on bad runs, so that is possible for Arsenal. Like I said, they overachieved. They're way ahead of the schedule in terms of their development, and let's see what happens.
There you go again, counting on Arsenal to get you 4th place. It's never what Spurs is going to do. What was the next game we wanted to talk about? Or did Lee have anything to say about?
Well, can I just say next Saturday, 16th of April, I'm at Southampton versus Southampton versus Arsenal, and I don't know who I want to win that game. I want to see my team win, but kind of also want to see Arsenal get the points. Either way, I win though. It's win-win. It's win-win. I think I said last week. I win either way. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Martin has made you a Spurs hater that bad.
It goes deep with us anyway.
Yeah.
Like Southampton fans have always had a dislike for Tottenham. This was early 2000s. We had Glenn Hoddle as manager. He quit mid-season to go to Tottenham.
Yeah.
And he took Dean Richards, who was one of our best players at the time, who sadly passed away now. He took him with him as well. They went to Spurs, and I remember being on a train, because I live sort of halfway between London and Southampton. I was on a train once to a Southampton versus Spurs game, and there was a bunch of Spurs fans, and they started singing about Dean Richards, who was a centre-back. They started singing "There's only one Dean Richards," and he was signed as a replacement for Sol Campbell, who went to Arsenal on a free transfer. So all our fans started singing "There's only one Sol Campbell," and the Spurs fans are quite upset.
But you know that Glenn Hoddle, deep inside, he was always a Spur, right? Because he played for the Spurs. And
yeah, but he didn't finish the job with us. He walked out mid-season. We were in European places, I think, when he was there, and we struggled after he left because it puts the club into a transitional state when the manager walks out partway through the season. So yeah, we didn't like him after.
Kind of unfortunate, because of one thing he said that was not very smart, and he pretty much got cancelled before the cancel culture.
We were the first club to give him a job after that, after he got fired from England.
Mm.
And we were the club who took a chance on him, which was the other reason why it hurt that he walked out partway through the season. So that sparked my dislike for Tottenham anyway at the time.
So who do you dislike more, Tottenham or Hoddle?
Tottenham, just as a club.
I respect that.
Because Hoddle's inconsequential now, but the dislike for Tottenham persists.
Yeah, they're still there. They're still in the same league. I guess what's the other game we're going to talk about?
Man U.
Do we need to talk about it? I mean, it's 1-1, but we, like I said, like we have destabilized our coaching leadership. So it's going to be tough for the players to listen to the guy who they know only really has a few weeks left with any contact or any influence over their lives. Like, I'm in California and I never played for Manchester United. I'm not in the locker room, but I know Rangnick is a dead man walking. So that means the players know. And it's like, and energy is everything. And I feel their energy when I'm watching the game. It's like, yeah.
What is so weird is that I thought the whole point, like when they came up with Rangnick and the way they structured is with him going on to the consultant role eventually, which meant like he is essentially going to be the next director of football, right?
Right.
I thought the whole, like one of the advantages with that is, unlike any other interim, this would have been an interim that you need to take seriously because he's not going anywhere. He's gonna still be your boss in another way. So as a player, you just can't.
He's going to be choosing who the club buys potentially.
That's why
Exactly.
it was a good. That's why it was a good idea. But now, the players and everyone can tell that he's not going to be an interim anything, because the board is interviewing coaches without him. When you asked him questions in the past about who are the future coaches and what ideas does he have in mind, he says, I've had no contact with the board about that.
So which means that he's not gonna be that consultant / director anymore?
Yes, that's what it feels like. Like even when Jesse Lingard was given, like he thought Jesse was sick.
Oh yeah.
And come to find out, Murtar, if this is true, gave him the time off or made him unavailable. Like, you can't do that to your coach. Like, so the coach doesn't have the ultimate power or the amount of power he needs to wield his influence on the team. And you could tell that he doesn't. And that's been taken away from him from somewhere. He didn't, so it was just going to be ineffective. Plus, we have no titles to play for. We're knocked out of every competition, including the competition for the non-trophy fourth. So we're just blah. Those are the performances you're going to get.
What do you think of? It looks increasingly likely that it's going to be Ten Hag.
I like Ten Hag. He's my favorite candidate. But maybe it took me a long time to realize it, but he has to get full. We're still going to have the same board. Like, I think, and I'm just speculating that Murtar, who hired Rangnick, he doesn't want to give up his spot. So maybe he just cut Rangnick adrift, because if Rangnick comes in and does what he's supposed to do, like, Murtar doesn't have the influence. And I'm like, Murtar did some good things. He got some good youth players, but I don't know, maybe he doesn't want to give up his power. And it was a good idea to get Rangnick and set him up the way they set him up, but to not follow through is a bad, terrible idea.
Such a weird situation, because you have Oli, who is a club's manager, who is associated with Man U and pretty much well liked by the fans, even if the fans kind of turned on him a little bit. And then you fire him without really having a replacement, because that didn't seem like a structured choice. I would say I would rather probably either start looking earlier or let Ole stay slightly longer while I have the real replacement for him, instead of making this like this juggling that makes no sense, then you hear rumors that Rangnick didn't really resonate with the squad, that the players didn't really approve his methods, that he really didn't get along with most of them, and the results don't prove.
He's still there, Martin.
No, I understand, but I think it would make more sense to have a real successor after Oli than to have all this juggling going on that really took, I think, Man U.
You can't.
Right,
can I just add?
Because you finished second last year with Oli. You did finish second, and now it seems like there's no strategy, you know.
They had a strategy, one that I liked, one that I approved of, and they have backed away from it. So I don't know why, but that's the problem with Manchester United, the top.
Because we watched the game together, and the one difference I see there is the attitude of the team is not right. You know, that Rashford doesn't look like he's invested in the team, or Talkaba doesn't look like he's invested in the team. They don't seem motivated. You know, they don't seem like on board. They don't seem like
they're the opposite of NWA. NWA was niggas with an attitude. Our team has no attitude. It is Manchester United without an attitude. You need an attitude. We don't got it.
And another thing that we both talked about is the captain. You know, Roy Keane used to be the captain of this team, and now you have Harry Maguire.
Irish man with an attitude. You know, it's like we don't have anybody with an attitude.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
not the Roy Keane type of a captain. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling like, you know, Ian, like how you went through all the different things that they're not playing for right now.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing they're not playing for is they don't know like the path of like which manager is even gonna, like there's no incentive to impress Rangnick or to, you know, make sure that you're in Rangnick's plans.
Right.
So that's another thing. Some of these younger players, for example, Elanga, Sancho, I think they were having a little bit of a good spell under Rangnick, but I guess the whole managerial hunt, like how public it has been in the last couple of weeks, that's also kind of diminished the manager's credibility in the changing room.
Yeah, and his influence, which is you know what I was saying is like you took away a major tool that coaches need.
Yeah.
From him, and it's
talking
like
about Rashford, man, it's like one thing I couldn't help myself when I saw the game with you and we watched Rashford coming in and really literally giving nothing, showing nothing. He reminds me, and that's heartbreaking. He reminds me of my used to be favorite player, Dele Alli. He reminds me he's reaching that level of kind of ineptitude. You know,
I don't think anyone at Everton can be bothered right now. Looking at their performance, they were all terrible this weekend.
Yeah. Everton's a perfect place for Dele Alli because that's how they play.
Yeah, it's a team of lost souls.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's like Everton is like purgatory for players coming and going. You know, like
Iwobi,
Ali, all rejects. Yeah, all reject team.
Iwobi was terrible on one of the goals this weekend. He lost the ball and he just sort of went started walking.
He was actually having a good game. And then he made that mistake and that goal went in. But he was actually one of their best players up until that point. And it's just, they were competitive. It's just that they made some big mistakes. And the thing about football is like, you're looking at Frank Lampard, a legend, and you're like, damn, he's losing. They're sliding towards a relegation zone. The only thing that's going to save them is that the teams below them stink. So they're not. Yeah. Frank is not going to save them. Burnley, Norwich, and Watford are going to save them. But
it's Burnley versus Villa on Burnley versus Everton on Wednesday.
On Wednesday. So
if they lose that, then it's on.
Yeah, it's on. I want Everton to win that, but is that home for Everton or away?
I think it's at Burnley.
Yeah, that's bad for them.
I'm not 100% sure. Let me check.
I don't think they're doing that good on the road.
Oh, they're doing horrible.
Yeah, that's not a traveling team. You don't take Everton to go. You know what I mean?
It's at Burnley.
Yeah, you eat Everton in the restaurant. You don't take that food home. It's
I gotta just check like how many games do they have home and away left.
Everton play like you bring home fries. You got to eat fries right away. You can't reheat them. They're going to be soggy. They're not going to be good when you take them.
But you know, Ian, who they play at home after Burnley, right?
Yeah, us. That's why I want them to. I want them to beat Burnley because Everton is so inconsistent. Like you can almost tell when they're going to win and when they're going to lose, but they'll lose after a win. So I want them to beat Burnley
They have to beat Burnley because if you look at all their games right now, they are a decent team at home and they're a horrible team away. So you can already count the fact that they're not going to get anything away going forward. And all their home games remaining are against top teams. Like they play at home.
Hold on. Who you calling a top team?
Well, I mean, at least a team far better than them.
Well, who you calling a team far better than them? Let's name this team. Name this team. I might disagree with you.
The famous United of Manchester.
Yeah. That's actually they're a bogey team for us. That's how I feel. And we're actually great for them. We might save them from getting relegated. Them playing.
Yeah. So they have to like turn up against some team like Manchester United. They play Manchester United at home. They play Crystal Palace at home. They play Leicester City at home. They play Chelsea at home. And then the penultimate game is Brentford at home. So their margins are like, they have a few games here and there to make their season count.
We'll see. What else is important to talk about?
We didn't talk about Tottenham really.
Oh, sorry, Martin. So let's continue and not talk about Tottenham. So how do you feel about your win, Martin? 4-1? 5-1. Yeah, shit. Against Newcastle. How you feel? It's a real win because Newcastle has improved.
It did improve. Although playing high line against Conte team is a suspect. It's not
suicide.
It's not a great idea. It could have been more than that if Harry Kane was a little bit more clinical or Son was a little bit more clinical. I like that we beat those teams at home. Pretty significant. We won some. We had some big wins in the last month or two. Against Everton was 5-0, now 5-1. I like that. I like that we put teams away. When we put them away, we put them away. And that's an improvement. I think Conte is doing an amazing job. I think we're ahead of the schedule, and it's not even his first full season with the team, and he's on 5th. Actually 4th place, but even if it's 5th at the end, or even if it's 6th, I would say it's an improvement. And the fact that the 2 players he bought so far are such a big piece of that turnaround, and that the players that most likely will stay only as rotation players, if they stay, like Doherty or Davis, are playing much better.
I like that new midfielder he bought.
Yeah, Betancourt is amazing.
No, not him. Who's the other one?
Kulusevski?
No, not him. I think his name is Harry Kane. Great midfielder.
Yeah. No, I mean,
where they get him from? They used to have a forward named Harry Kane. Now they have a midfielder named Harry Kane Huddle.
Yeah, I think it's telling that they won 5-1. He didn't score.
Yeah, exactly. And he was a part of most of those goals.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like Betancourt though. I still think that him and Højbjerg playing together is not creative enough, and they will definitely address that in the summer. And based on the 2 buys he already did, I think Conte will improve that team in the summer. We don't need that much of improvement. We need maybe 2 or 3 players, and we'll be fine.
It's so funny. Like Martin's like, I like Conte. I like what he's doing. That's how the season started when Conte got there, and then there was a time when Martin was like, I don't know about this Conte. It's not working.
No, I never said that.
No, there was a moment because you've lost 8 games with him. It's not like it's been.
Conte. I questioned the team, but never Conte. Yeah, no.
But then
I questioned the team is good enough.
But the thing I was gonna say is, it's funny. He's funny too, because he comes in, they win, then they start losing, and he questions the team, and then now he's not questioning the team anymore. He's like, yeah, I think they're getting my. But there was a moment when he thought, we got to sell this whole team.
He questioned the club itself.
No, not the whole team.
He literally went Giorgio, Chiellini. Chiellini. He went. This is the history of the Tottenham. There was a Champions League game a couple of years back, and Spurs were leading, and then Juventus won. So he went, this is the history of the Tottenham. They play good football, but they lose.
I think he was. I saw. There was one part of the season when Spurs was losing, when Conte started shopping for new chairmen. Like, he's like, we got to find somebody to replace Levy.
Yeah.
No, I think. Listen, I think we're on the right path, and let's see what happens in the summer. If we finish top 4, I mean, it will be an absolute masterpiece and miracle. and we're already ahead of the schedule. If that happens, then Conte is, he is one of the best managers in the world, and he's proving.
Let's see what you can do with the £2 million budget that he's going to get from leaving.
And the way even the football part of it, like I watched, and I'm not taking a dig right now because we watched both games together in the end, Man U game and Tottenham game. But the one clear difference is, that the way Man U are playing is pretty stagnant and they hold the ball way too long. Where the way Tottenham are playing, they're pretty much play one contact football. Players are changing positions. They're less the talent, is not quite there, but the system is there, and that gives me hope. That the system is there. I still feel like Højbjerg should be only a squad player in this setup. Betancourt is clearly better version of Højbjerg, and he needs like a creative guy next to him, and that will be probably something Conte will address in the summer window. But I like that the players are trying hard, to buy into his philosophy and system, and Doherty is playing out of his mind. That's the best I've seen from him. Davis is playing out of his mind. They're not that talented of players, but they're playing really up to their potential.
Doherty was playing on the wrong side as well, wasn't he? He was playing on the left wing back this time, which is not his position either.
No.
The funny thing about this game is, like, because I know you guys and I know your teams, and I've heard you talk about your teams, I know the players on your teams that you dislike. Like, I know the players on Chelsea that Neil has a problem with. I know the players on Southampton that Lee has a problem with. And same thing goes for Spurs. I know the players on Spurs that Martin has a problem with. So let me name these players.
Serge Aurier. Oh, he's not there anymore. Good.
The players are Ben Davies, who scored. Matt Doherty, who scored. Emerson Royal, who scored. Steven Bergwijn, who scored. Everyone Martin has a problem with on Spurs.
I don't have a problem with them. I just don't think they're
funny to watch.
I don't have a problem with them. I just don't think they're good.
I just praise them. I just praise them on the podcast.
You just praise them, but you also shit on them.
Oh, I don't shit on them like
not shit on them, but
come on.
Like you don't want them there.
I want them as a rotation players. They're not like the first team regulars, game in, game out type of players, in my opinion, to win you trophies. Like we'll need to strengthen our squad and find a little bit better options for those positions potentially. So yeah. I mean, I would like Doherty and Davis in the mix, but not as a starters. But I would like them in a mix. From what I'm seeing, how they improved under Conte, sure, I don't have a problem with that. Emerson Royal, I'm still not 100% sure about him, but let's see what happens moving forward. He had some good games, he had some not so good games. He's definitely much better than Serge Aurier, that's for sure.
Can't wait till.
But let's see what we can do in the transfer market. I like Romero a lot as a center back. Can we pair him up with someone at that level? Dyer is good for some games; he can be a rotation player, but can we pair up Romero with someone at that level? Can we find someone to partner Betancourt at his level? Can we have a second striker just to play some less meaningful games so Harry Kane doesn't have to carry the load every single game? Can we have option on the left or the right side if we decide to play more through the wing? Sure. But
Martin, that's really good. Other than that, that sounds like a complete rebuild.
No.
Other than that, you just named every player.
No, we're just too thin. We just had to thin up a squad because we had to get rid of some players that were not producing.
I think Bergwijn, he scored internationally during international week. I feel like if you guys are a little bit more patient with him, he has the pace and he gets into scoring positions. He just doesn't put the ball in the back of the net. But I just think a little bit more time and you won't need that extra guy that you said you need.
Not at his position, but Son plays his position. He's not going to win over Son.
Yeah, but sometimes Sons get injured.
That's okay. That's why I'm saying he's a rotation player. I'm fine with it. Same with Mora. Mora is not better.
No, but I think he could be more. And why wouldn't you want him to be more?
Because there's no position for him. What position he can play? Either Harry Kane's position or Son's position. There's no other position he can play.
I don't know. There's a coach at Liverpool Like he had a starting three and he shuffles it around. He puts Jota in, he puts the Colombian guy in.
Some games, but if it's the most important game, like you will see in the City game, he's not gonna shuffle around for the City game. I'll tell you that. He'll play all his best players for that game.
I don't know, man. If Bergwijn gets good, what would be the problem in that?
I don't think he's better than Son or Kane, but he can be a good.
Not right now.
You know, he can play cup games. He can come as a sub and score. And what he did twice against Leicester and now once against Newcastle. I think.
All right, Martin, he stinks. All right, good, no problem. You need
He's
a whole team.
Good rotation player. And
the amount of this is where the problem is. Like the amount of players that you mentioned, Levy's not going to spend that amount of player money.
Well, let's see who we can get rid of. Winks probably we can get rid of.
You might get one of those players you want at the level you want.
And Lee, I disagree with you.
The rest will be filler.
Yeah. Lee, you mentioned the $2 million transfer window money. Why do you think it's going to be so much? Why are you so optimistic?
Oh no, because that's going to come out of the Harry Kane money, right?
Oh yeah.
And then Levy is going to keep 98 million to himself, and then 2 million for the transfer window.
Levy's going to basically hand Conte a list of all the players in Europe that are out of contract this summer. But ones that won't want too much wages and go, there's your choice. Tell me which ones you want.
Which means Antonio Conte is going to walk in the summer.
You're a hope.
All right, let's go to Champions League, I guess, because it shouldn't be. I think Neil has to leave soon. Liverpool versus Benfica at Benfica. This could be a trickier match than we think. Benfica is somewhere where I didn't expect them to be.
Nah.
And they beat a team. Didn't they beat Ajax to get there?
Yeah.
Just.
But Ajax was undefeated in Champions League till then. So.
But I think like Liverpool were able to bench players at the weekend against Watford, and they were still comfortable. So I think they should. I don't think it'll be a walkover, but I think Liverpool should get enough of a result to bring back and finish the job at Anfield. Right.
Yeah, I think so too, but I just wouldn't be surprised if there's a surprise. Not that that's saying anything big. It is the Champions League. Anything could happen. And I just have a nightmares of like Porto versus United, and, I don't know who the coach of Benfica is, but is this guy the new Mourinho, Can he get past the team he's not supposed to get past, and will he?
But he's already rumored to be out of a job in the summer.
Regardless. Oh yeah, why? How are they doing in the league, in the Portuguese league?
Well, apparently Benfica are going to get Roger Schmidt, who left, who is leaving PSV Eindhoven in the summer. He's
Van Nistelrooy's taking that job, huh?
Yeah. But Schmidt's he's managed like Leverkusen and people in Germany. He's a very good manager, so there's rumours he'll be there. Benfica are currently third in the Portuguese Liga, and they are 15 points behind Porto, which is criminal to their fans. They're 9 points behind Sporting as well, which isn't good for them.
All right.
But there's one reason. I'll give you one word why I think Liverpool will win, and that word is Otamendi.
So is he the reason why they're 15 points behind?
Yeah, him trying to defend against Mane and Salah and people like.
All right.
Game over.
It's funny that you said that, because when they had a draw for the World Cup last Friday, and Poland was drawn into a group with Argentina, also Arabia and Mexico, one of the former Polish internationals, he said, I see one hope in Argentina game, it's Otamendi. So it's
can I just dip into the World Cup draw, just derail a little bit? Like everybody's saying that the group America, that England is in is easy, and that's English people. And it's not an easy group. Like England has never beat the US in World Cup qualifying. And I think this is one of the best teams the US ever had.
2010. I remember US finished ahead of England in the group, right?
They probably did. I probably
Yeah, they
blocked
did.
it out. I know we tied.
2010, yeah, they did. They won the group, US, and which forced England to play Germany, and they lost to Germany in the last 16.
Right.
Yeah, we were terrible in that group because we drew with Algeria as well when Wayne Rooney got angry because the fans were booing, and yeah, that was a shit show of a World Cup.
Yeah, it was. It was a terrible World Cup. It would have been better if we didn't even qualify for that World Cup.
4-1, right? Germany won 4-1 in the last 16.
Oh yeah, it was embarrassing.
But this is probably the best England team in a long time.
Yeah, it's just that this just don't like in England when you hear they're like everybody's like, what a great group. It's like, nah, everybody's kind of caught up incrementally and technically and just everything in football, nutrition and just coaching and just everything. And you know, it's just not this walk in the park. That
I think it's a walk in the park, but I also feel like it's a good group to get 9 points off and really start a serious campaign.
I was talking to a friend in Qatar, and even he was making a good argument for Iran having a strong team.
Yeah.
And he's like, they have some international players, and he named some people. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, they got people all around Europe.
Yeah. So, you know, it's a stronger Iran team than they probably ever had. And what's the other team in the group? The US. I respect the US, even though they didn't.
Potentially Ukraine.
Yeah. And so
it's Wales, Scotland, or Ukraine.
Yeah, and then the other three possibilities. So one possibility is Wales, who, let's go with Scotland first. Scotland drew with England in our group in the Euros.
It's a derby.
It's a derby, and anything can happen in a derby. And then if it ain't Scotland, then it's Wales, and that's a derby, and anything could happen in a derby. And Wales has big players, big game players, Bale, Ramsey, and just, you know, they could just make it happen. And then if it's to Ukraine, then the world is behind Ukraine. Like Ukraine is the Ericsson of football right now, you know. So it's just not going to be, whatever team that is, it's not going to be easy. It's just, I just think it's, you know, I hope Neil is right, but it's still tough, even if they are tougher than it's a tougher group than everybody's saying. I hope.
Yeah, the pressure's all on England because of the level of expectation.
And you know how we deal with pressure, baby. We don't. Yeah. Martin, you happy about Poland's group?
Not happy, not unhappy. The first game against, I like the fact that we don't play Argentina until the third game. So there's gonna be, probably we're gonna be in it for 3 games, where the last 3 World Cups we're out of it after 2 games. And then we always somehow won the third one, which is because it didn't matter. The last time was against Japan in 2018 World Cup, where both teams didn't want to score in 10 minutes and just pass the ball around, which was pretty shame because Japan couldn't afford to lose more than with 1 goal, and Poland didn't want to, you know, not win the last game. So yeah, I mean, the expectations are that Lewandowski is probably his last World Cup, or at least his last World Cup in his prime. He never scored a single goal in a World Cup, so I'm sure he's going to be very motivated. And people are joking in Poland, but that's actually half serious, half jokingly. That so far in the last 3 World Cups, one of the main reasons, if not the main reason, that it didn't work out was that the managers had the full team for 2 weeks of preparation, and they simply overworked them, and they just prepared them so poorly that they didn't have any stamina or strength or simply health or fitness for the World Cup. And now, because they will come straight from their clubs and they will have only like 3-4 days to prepare for the World Cup, the national team coach will not ruin players' form, which is based on what they work in their clubs. So there is a hope for Poland that they will not rely on their Polish specialists to prepare them for the World Cup, but they will rely more on the football specialists or the club specialists throughout the season. So they will come in form, and it won't be ruined like it was in the last 3 World Cups. The game against Mexico is winnable, the first one. Why not? I think Mexico, they're not probably in their best right now with that generation. They have some interesting players, but I think it could be a draw. We can beat them. They can beat us. It's an open game. Then against Saudi Arabia, I expect us to win. And then Argentina game will be the most difficult, obviously, right? But it's not like it's also the greatest Argentina team of all time. Still, very good team.
Very good team. I feel like Mexico is emotionally overrated. They just always have been. They're a team or a brand that has put themselves on a level without proving that they're on a level. And I don't know, it's because they have so many fans that travel. But this Mexican team is not the greatest. But it's a World Cup. You got to worry. They beat Germany in the last World Cup, and Germany didn't get out that group.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some surprises.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the coach of Poland personally. He's a good friend of mine. We actually exchanged a couple of messages in the last couple of days, and I made some jokes. He was laughing. I hope he will come here to scout to LA to scout some Mexican players, and we'll have time to catch up. I haven't seen him in a long time. A very good guy, very good tactician. So I'm sure we'll be well prepared.
All right. Let's go back to Champions League. Neil, you mentioned a little bit about it. Chelsea, Real Madrid on Wednesday.
Yeah, excited about it. Always champion. Like last season, we played Champions League, Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid, but those were in front of an empty stadium. So this time it should be a good atmosphere at Stamford Bridge. But like in terms of the team, yeah, this defeat really did, because I thought the team was going in a good was going through a good spell. But yeah, I just hope we don't do anything funky tomorrow. Stick to the basics. Tuchel's been going through so much. I just got this in the mail earlier today, so I've been reading on this.
You should send that to all the players on Chelsea. Make sure they all have a copy. So
Tuchel, by the way, the amount of things this man has had to deal since in the last couple of months, he's now going through a divorce apparently. So this just came out, and the funny thing is, this came out literally within minutes of full time yesterday on Saturday.
Wife German? One question: is his wife German?
I think wife is German. Yeah, she's an ex-journalist.
Then you forget it. Then forget it. That's it. His wife is German. He will walk naked out of the house. I'll tell you that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what that means, but
you lose everything. That's what it means.
All right, y'all.
So yeah, he needs to win another Champions League just to keep up with that. Just to keep his end of the bargain on the divorce, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the first.
Because
time.
If he wants to hold on to a Champions League, he needs to have two of them, because one's gonna go away.
Maybe Tuchel's a lucky man. He's a charmed man, in a reverse weird way, because Chelsea's for sale. This is the first time that Chelsea can go through a season without winning anything, where they won't fire the coach.
The Tuchel's he's also made some comments. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed, there's a huge campaign both online at the stadium. Say no to Ricketts. The Ricketts family, the Chicago Cubs guys, they're one of the final four.
Didn't they just send out a letter or something like that?
Yeah, they send out. They're pulling out all stops to woo the support, the Chelsea Supporters Trust, all the the overall fan base. But
didn't like the Cubs. I think they waited like over 100 years to win something, right?
Yeah, they wanted under their open ownership, but like I think both from the way they run their sports franchise and also a lot of historical stuff that has come out, racism, Islamophobia, and some dodgy business dealings. So it's I think Tuchel's come out and said that if you've had that kind of things said in your past, you have to be ready for the consequences, which is pretty. He's definitely making his feelings known there.
I don't see the point in entering into a situation where the fans would openly be hostile against the owners from the off.
Americans don't care.
No, but
you end up being a Mike Ashley Newcastle situation.
Americans don't care.
And
arrogant.
Mike Ashley was a Newcastle through and through guy. Like his
Well, I
breakup
mean,
happened
not necessarily from the family's point of view or the owner's point of view, because they won't. Yeah, like Ian said, they won't give a fuck. But I mean, if the club have anything, or the people organising the bid have anything to do with it, they shouldn't have even put them through to the final round, knowing that the animosity would be there from the off, because it's a hard place to start from. You're putting yourself at a disadvantage with fans being openly hostile to owners. It's just not healthy. I mean, I think United have seen that with the Glazers. I saw a survey of fans and their levels of satisfaction with the owners of their team, and United at the bottom. And this was when Newcastle still had Ashley, I think. So it's it's pretty bad.
Yeah, and some of these people, who are at the club, they're kind of tarnishing their own legacy by, even putting these guys up in the Final Four. But it seems like they have a lot of money riding behind them. And so now, like in the last 24 hours, I think the person, Dan Gilbert, who's the head of the Cleveland Cavaliers, he's joined on to the bid. And I was reading through what, his story. It seems like this is a consortium of supervillains. Like every asshole in a US sports franchise is like joining hands to, like, there's absolutely no redeeming feature about any of these guys, and it's they're all in one group.
All of them combined, are they worse than the oligarch that's in control now, or just lost control of Chelsea?
Well, they're if you want to talk about, like, from a business point of view, they're probably as worse, except they also have a whole visible, documented history of doing discriminatory things.
I like that fans are more aware, and they're not just accepting owners. And the Premier League has to do a better job of vetting new owners. But I like that the fans are like, no, we're doing this too.
Yeah, so because you have to do it at this point, because once somebody buys a club, like you see the United fans with Glazers, Arsenal fans with Kroenke. Once somebody has the club, it's next to impossible to get rid of it. It's too late. Yeah. So if you want to raise your voice, this is the time to do it.
Yeah. Lee, I'm going to randomly ask you how you feel about back to Champions League, Atletico Madrid versus Man City.
I'm really interested to see how this goes, because I think this will be Simeone reverting back to full shithouse mode, old school Atletico style. Like they're gonna be time wasting from minute one. I think in those games they're gonna be defending. They're not gonna press. They're not gonna play any expansive football. I think they're just like, it's gonna be all hands to the pump, full defensive action from Atletico. I think they're going to be horrible to play against, and it'll be interesting to see whether City can overcome that.
And anybody got any thoughts on Bayern versus Villarreal?
Yeah, Villarreal, they surprised in the previous round. I think they reached semifinals once with Riquelme with that team, right?
Good
I think they were in semifinals once. And that's about it. I don't see any chances them beating Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich is a machine. I think they're the favorites to win it all.
Yeah, they're one of the favorites. Yeah, I agree with you. If Bayern doesn't win this, then I'll be like super surprised. So, let's go to the top of the Premier League. There's a big match coming up.
Huge.
Oh, yeah. Big crisis. Huge crisis.
Whoever loses this game, it will be a huge crisis. Yeah.
And both teams set this match on its course to be as big as it is by handling their business in the Premier League this weekend, when Liverpool went first and who did they beat again? Watford, like immediately. Just like, hey man, we're not. And then Man City, no pressure, immediately scores and takes the lead against, who did Man City beat? Burnley. And now they're 1 point ahead of the other. Is that the deal? Let me look at my table.
Yeah, City are a point ahead, same games.
Same amount of games, and they meet this weekend. Who got and why you got who?
I have Liverpool. I think Liverpool are the best team in England for the last 3 months, and I think everything is clicking for them. The only problem, but it didn't look that way so far, is Salah and Mane. Twice Mane took away from Salah first the African Nations Cup, now the qualifications for the World Cup, and it was in pretty scandalous circumstances. So will that carry over? I think Klopp is.
Did it carry over this weekend?
No, because Salah didn't. Did he play?
Yeah, Salah played.
He did play. Okay. Yeah, but they didn't. Listen, they played Watford, right? I think Liverpool are a well machine, and they have the motivator, the guy who gets them going, and they looked absolutely unbeatable for the last 2 or 3 months.
What do you think, Neil?
I mean, Liverpool should get the job done, both Liverpool and Man City in Champions League. And then, I mean, these games usually tend to be pretty fast-paced, high-scoring games. At least, maybe not high-scoring because the defense are really good, but at least a lot of high-quality chances. And I have a feeling that it's going to be Liverpool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you think, Lee?
I just feel mentally Liverpool is a stronger team.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going the other way.
Okay.
So I think both teams will score, but I think City will win. So I'm going like a 2-1 to City. I think their forward line looks so fluid at the moment. Like at the weekend, like Sterling was class.
He's gotten better. He stepped it up.
Yeah, De Bruyne looked good. Cancelo was good as well. And I think Liverpool, when I watched them against Watford, I know they rotated a little bit, but Watford had some big chances in that game. There were some gaps in that Liverpool team. I think if they're, obviously I think they're going to be playing at a higher level against City than they were against Watford. They're going to up their game. But I just think City at home, if it was at Anfield, I might be leaning more towards Liverpool, but I think City at home, not that they get much of a home advantage, but it just means Liverpool don't get the Anfield advantage. And I think City will get the job done. I'm just gonna
bring one stat to you, because in the last 3 years, if Matip and Van Dijk are playing together in center back, if they're both healthy, they're pretty much winning. Then they're like never losing with them at the center back together. Pretty much never.
Yeah.
I don't think Liverpool have won or got anything at the Etihad though for years. I might be wrong. Someone can fact check that, but I think they often struggle there.
My view of the game is I'm damned whoever I like, like I'm a Manchester United fan. I don't want Liverpool to win. I don't want Manchester City to win. Like, I don't want the City rival or the number of titles rival Liverpool to win. But if to give an answer, for some reason, right now I'd root more for Liverpool than City. Yeah, and I just think they have more distinctive firepower. And I feel like City's going to pay for not getting a forward. And if there's any game for them to pay for not getting a forward and not having like somebody that definitely put the ball in the back of the net instead of like a bunch of midfielders, it's probably this game. I just think Liverpool has more cutting edge and can match them when healthy in the midfield. They can match Man City in the midfield. And it's just going to come down to, taking chances, which is not saying much, but who's going to take their chances the best? It's pretty even. We got any questions, Neil?
Oh, yeah.
Before we get to questions, I'm just going to tell you, Lee, that your boy, Phil Neville, Miami, worst team in the league, they lost another game. They're -10 in goals and last position.
Of course they are. He's a clown.
Damn.
But he can go back to his old club Everton when they're in the Championship next season and manage them after sack Frank for getting them relegated.
So hilarious.
He's not even worth a Championship job though. The guy's.
But how long the loyalty of David Beckham will prevail? I mean, they're a complete mess as a team. People are joking, because they're losing every game by like 2-3 goals or more.
Yeah, anybody would have changed their coach by now.
Yeah, it's the second season of that.
He's just lucky that they can't go relegated.
LAFC beat Orlando 4-2. All right, LAFC.
Okay, so questions. First question from Oscar Starstyle is: Poland disappoint Martin by qualifying for the World Cup?
Did Poland what?
Did Poland disappoint Martin by qualifying for the World Cup?
I was absolutely pleasantly surprised, because Sweden historically was always beating us, and we played a perfect game tactically against them. It was incredible, and big thanks, as a matter of fact, and already gave those thanks through Ian to this guy, because it's his guy, Damian Lindelof. Victor Lindelof. Victor. He fouled the guy on the edge of the penalty box when the game was kind of nervous, and he gave us the first goal. And I'm super grateful to Lindelof for that. He gifted us our first goal. Fantastic.
Okay, so Oscar also asked, what are your thoughts about the World Cup draw? We already went over that, but he asked, is there a group of death? I think there isn't, right?
No, I don't. No, not really.
Yeah.
Spain, and what? Germany, right? In this one group.
Spain and Germany, yeah.
Yeah,
you probably have to say that one, but then I don't think the other teams in it are that strong, are they? I don't think.
But Germany last 2 tournaments, they didn't make it out of the group in the World Cup, and they lost in the last 16 in the Euros. So it's not like Germany are killing it lately.
Germany is just Bayern Munich with Rudiger. So they should be fine.
We got Kai Havertz.
Yeah. I mean,
well, you never know. By the time the World Cup comes along, Rudiger might actually be in Bayern Munich. Thoughts on Crystal Palace destroying Arsenal. We also went over that. Also wanted to hear, this is Stowy Corbin who asked this. And also wanted to hear about Mbappe possibly staying at PSG.
It's announced, I think.
What?
I think he's announced. I think he's announced the new contract.
Oh my god!
What?
I gotta look this up.
With the
apparently, even the president Macron was involved.
What?
Yeah, wait. You're saying Mbappe has spoken. This is from Marca.
Somebody read this to me.
Oh my god! Looks like I need an account.
That means they're getting Haaland instead of Mbappe, so it's fine.
Who? Real Madrid?
Yeah.
He fits more than Mbappe because you're getting a left-sided player and you already have a Vinicius.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fully announced, but apparently it's done. That's the rumors.
Yeah, he's probably said, is it possible to stay at PSG? Yes, of course.
It's possible that Barca will bring Messi back, though, in this case. That's interesting.
I don't even think Messi fits with this Barca. Did you see what this Barca did this weekend?
Pedri was on fire for that goal. Quick feet, great finish. Even Dembele's balling out at Barca again now.
He is balling so hard. Like, he created so many chances, Dembele. And even the Pedri goal was an assist. It's one of those assists you didn't work for because Pedri did all the work. All they did was pass the ball. But just the way the Barca fans has taken to this team and just to watch them cheer this team on while they were just like going at Sevilla, just going at it, just pressing them. And even if Barca didn't score and win that game, the fans would have just gave them a standing O anyway, just for the effort. But add that Pedri goal on top of the way that Barca played, and it's just something to watch. If you can get a chance to watch Barca play now, when everybody's young, Pedri's 19, Gavi's 17, 18, Dembele's 23, 24, and keeping Traore on the bench. And Ferran Torres is getting a little bit better. You know, Aubameyang rolled back the clock a little bit to his Dortmund days. And Gavi, Frankie de Jong, Dani Alves, looks like when he first moved to Barcelona for his contract.
39. He's 39 years old.
Well, he's playing like the age he was when they first bought him. You know?
So maybe Messi will end up playing for Phil Neville in Miami this summer.
It's just.
I think it's also worth a shout out to Barca for selling out the new camp in the Women's Champions League against Real Madrid. They filled the place. They're through. They beat them over 2 legs in both legs, I think. So
a rivalry is a rivalry. They'll take El Clasico in any form.
Yeah.
What else you got, Neil?
What are the pros and cons for Wayne Rooney? This was Scott Tatman, and he asks pros and cons for Wayne Rooney becoming the next United coach.
It's all pros if he goes the right route, you know? Meaning, you know, he's doing the right thing by staying at Derby and learning how to become a coach. It'll be, you know, he has the right ingredients as a player, like he's won titles and he knows the league. So just as long as he's not a celebrity hire and he really learns the game, which he said he wants to do, and his whole intention is to become Man United coach. And he did something really honest today. I watched the interview.
Yeah.
I think it was on Monday Night Football. And they asked him about Ronaldo. And he was the first person to be like, he probably, and this is ex-teammate.
Yeah.
And he knows him. He's the first person who honestly was like, that's not the direction Man United should go in. And that we should just get somebody younger. And it's like, you know how radical a statement that is? And you need somebody at this team who's going to be, that's a great, like Ragnick can't say that. You know what I mean?
I think the main thing though is only hiring him when he deserves to be hired. Because right now, although he's done a great job at Derby, if he wasn't Wayne Rooney, he wouldn't be considered for a job at that level right now.
Right.
So he needs to keep putting in the work, and he needs to arrive at the right time, because Lampard, he got the dream of managing Chelsea, but that's gone now, and his career is pretty much only going downhill from there. It might come back up again, who knows? But he shot his shot and it didn't work out. So you know, he got it too early. If he wasn't Frank Lampard, he would have never got that job. And for me, it needs to be both. The name helps, the connection with the club helps, but they need to be worthy. Otherwise, you're just settling for mediocrity or worse.
Right. And I like what Rooney did, because he's turned down the Everton job too, right? They asked him. And so that tells me, like, keep doing stuff like that. Keep understanding yourself and knowing what you need to know, and get the experience that you know you need to get. Don't be tempted by things, because all these habits that you practice that are good, you're going to need them when you're the coach of Manchester United. So cultivate these good habits and this work ethic and bring that to the team at the right time and apply them, and it will give him the best chance to succeed when he becomes a coach. So, yeah,
it's just patience. Like, if he keeps doing the right things, it might not be for another 5-6 years.
Yeah.
But
I'm good with that.
When it comes, then it'll be at the right time, rather than in at the deep end, fail downhill from there.
Yeah. I'm cool with that.
You got to look at it like, if you see even like players from the academy, right, when they go out on loan, probably go to the championship, then hit a lower level Premier League team, maybe a mid-level Premier League team, and then you work your way up. Rooney right now he is doing a great job at Derby, but maybe another couple of seasons there, then hit the Premier League. Look at what Steven Gerrard is doing, what Patrick Vieira is doing, and all these clubs, the top positions are gonna be available. I guess when you have the loyalties to a club like this, the real dilemma is, if you are good like if you do become really good, you might get an offer from a rival club. What do you do then?
I think, like he said it, he wants to become Manchester United manager. I feel like,
well, what if the Manchester United job is not available, but say the Liverpool job or the Chelsea job is available?
He'd probably take the Everton job.
Chelsea job will be available.
He just keep on practicing until it becomes available. I feel like one part of the problem is like a guy like Rafa Benitez has no patience. He just takes any offer. And look at his career. Like he could be a legit top coach like Mourinho. Like
Mourinho's taking every job as well.
He's picking the wrong jobs. Like
that's a great admission, Martin.
I mean, he coached pretty much every team except of Leeds. He coached our three teams here, from our podcast. Yeah, he might end up coaching Southampton one day. You never know.
Pep always picks the right job. Pep always picks the right job. Like it's not that he's successful because he's a good coach, but he's a good coach because he always picks the right job.
But Pep also has been privileged enough to never be at a position where only the top jobs go to him. So
well, listen. So his first top job was with Barcelona. So he was he was coaching in the youth team. Like I was watching Barcelona before Pep was coach. I was like, this is a good team. They had Messi, young Messi, Iniesta, Xavi, Ronaldinho, which he discarded at 2. And he's like, there's no way. He's like, so he got the job. He was in the right place, right time. But good job, and then he proved himself. So that's where it's like right job meets right person. And then,
I think occasionally there is a freak like Guardiola. And it almost looks like Xavi could be that as well, because he learned his ropes in a league that wasn't of the level required. But he to be fair, he did it persistently for a few years out there rather than being one season then in. So occasionally you do get these freaks, and who knows, Rooney could prove me wrong. He might get this job in 2 years and be great, or a year and be great. But I think by and large they should wait.
Yeah.
And you know who he reminds me of, Guardiola? Phil Jackson, who always took the right job.
Yes, there you go. Pick the right job.
He was a very good player, not a great player. Guardiola was a very good player, not a great player. And
always pick the right job, pick the right owners. You go to Bayern Munich, the ex-players who run the board and do everything, they're so ambitious. They're super ambitious. And then you go to Man City, where your guy who used to help you run stuff at Barcelona is there ahead of time, setting everything up. Man City has the money. Boom, you're there. So so I like what Rooney's doing.
That's why he didn't take the PSG job, because that was a trap. He could have, Guardiola, in the past, and he didn't.
Yeah, that's you have to. Yeah. So, any more, Neil?
I think you already went over the fact. Will Messi return to Barcelona? This is from Boomtown 191.
Who's got that? Lee?
I mean, I'd kind of like to see it from a romantic point of view. I've not enjoyed seeing him at PSG.
Yeah.
But again, I think like Barca, I think one of you mentioned a moment ago, Barca's moved on, I think. They've made their peace with that. It's sad that he didn't get a proper goodbye. So I think maybe if he went back, he wouldn't be as influential as he was previously. He'd maybe have to be like sort of helping the new talent.
Damn, and who wants to see that? Ugh.
Yeah, exactly. So
Jeez.
I think maybe the past should be left in the past. But I think him personally, he may want to do it purely for his own legacy, to try and prove to people that he can still do it, and also to round off his time properly at Barca. Because like I say, he didn't want to leave. He didn't get to say goodbye. So It might be that it gives him the opportunity to go in for a couple of seasons and do that. Who knows? But I don't think it will happen. But I wouldn't rule it out.
He probably needs to win a Champions League, right? Like that should be the thing that's driving his decisions at this time.
Well, I mean, he won Champions League before with Barca, and he's not going to win it with PSG this year. I think, here's my bold prediction. I think he's going to leave PSG, and it's 50-50 for me between Barca and MLS.
Yeah, because can Barca even afford him? Like, they still have money problems. Like, how is he going to go back? That's my question. It's like, how do you balance those books?
Who knows? He may take a cut. I think there's also maybe a possibility back to Argentina as well to play for his childhood club before Barca took him.
Yeah, but he'll cash in MLS. Don't give him ridiculous money if he goes to MLS.
Depends if he needs the cash.
You don't. I mean,
Higuain, you might end up in Miami with his buddy Higuain. Who knows?
Being coached by Phil Neville. Messi being coached by Phil Neville would be a travesty. That would upset me.
Phil Neville would be like, Leo, you take the ball and you run to the right and then you pass the ball to Gonzalo. That's the strategy.
What do you think about the answer to that question, Neil? Will he go back, you think?
I don't think he'll go back for the simple reason that if Mbappe does leave, like PSG would still, like Lionel Messi is still Messi, that PSG would still want to hold on to Messi, and he wouldn't come for cheap.
Yeah, he's not free. They paid.
He's not free anymore.
Contract.
Yeah.
So it's like you, like I don't see how they can.
Yeah, it'll be like PSG is not in business to
off.
do charity, right? So.
Yeah. And any more questions?
No, I think that's about it. Yeah.
Cool. Well, all right, guys. Did we miss anything? Anybody want to throw anything in? Martin is surprisingly silent. All right. Oh, thank you all. Martin, congratulations. You're the only one that won here this weekend. How does it feel being the only person who won in the 4 windows?
Well, to be quite honest with you, I had.
All right, that's enough. Cool.
We probably had the one game that I was sure we're gonna win, because we always somehow beat Newcastle at home. But hopefully we'll win the next few games, and we'll see. I'm happy. It's a double win for me because Poland beat Sweden, so that is even more significant, actually.
Good week for you.
I watched the game with my friend, our friend Janusz Michalik from ESPN. He came to visit his son. We went to a bar together. We watched the game, so that was fun.
All right. What up, Janusz? And LAFC is at the top of the MLS in the Western Division. So LAFC they got 4 wins out of 5, 1 draw. They haven't even lost. They got 13 points. So I'm gonna see if we should go back down and check out a game for LAFC. Like, try that. And I might go see a game with Rogan, the Austrian MLS team. Just got to figure that out too.
They're solid. Also, they have a solid team. It's the second year of that franchise, but they're improving. Contrary to Inter Miami, who picked the first season, and now they're worse and worse and worse and worse. Austin is actually getting better, but they're run by Claudio Reyna, who is I think the president of the club.
You just hate Inter Miami, Jesus, why?
No, I like them, but it's a complete disaster what's going on with this team. They made the playoffs in the first year, and since then they have a decent squad. They really have. And they have DeAndre Edlin, Gonzalo Higuain, and they have a bunch of good players, and they're just performing terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah, I don't want to disparage Yedlin, so I'm just going to keep quiet. But thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all. Great job. Thanks everybody who watches and listens and sends in questions. We'll check out your comments on YouTube and listen on the Omni Studio, iTunes, Spotify. Peace, y'all. Thank you, Aaron Brungardt, producer 1.
Thanks. All right, guys. All right, 3, 2, 1. Got it. That's good.
All right, thanks, y'all.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, everyone.
All right, peace.
Catch you later.
All right, Lee. All right, Neil.
Bye.
All right, Martin.
Bye.